see who he does against Zeta. We saw a couple of Zetas yesterday in the Gibbs tournament. Anime intros, let's go. Vass is such a beast, man. I wish I was good enough to play him. Every game does have a volcano stage. It's kind of weird. Yeah, no problem, man. You're doing the God's work. But here we go. Zeta versus Vass. Pogo's pressure. Oh, and he's a big body. It's going to be even harder for him to get out. But he does have armor, just not activated at the moment. That might help. But at the moment... screen share. There's a tab just above the commentators tab channel. That should let you see what I see. Oof. The stopped hit, so he didn't get the command grab. I think Paddu needed that to start his comeback. But, oh, maybe he didn't. Oh, counter. And he blocked it. Nice. Alright, I'll try and sort that out. I don't know why it's doing that. Let's figure it out. Sorry, guys. Cool. Nice tech. Oh, the anti-air grab? That was pretty clean. That was pretty clean. Nice read there by Paddu. There's not many of them, to be fair. I can understand why the struggle's pretty hard. When you get someone in the corner, obviously it's... yeah. Yeah. Oh, nice confirm. Look at the damage. Yeah, that's I think it's called Rampage Stance or Savage Stance. When he's basically stomping towards you, he has so good. Yeah. Nice. Chucks him away. That's the first set to Paddu. Mm-hmm. Okay. All cross up. No block. Throws back into the corner. Goes for the tick throw. Nobody's home. Is he dead? Yeah, okay. Yeah. 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 Yeah, there's like a point system. Normals do a certain amount, specials do a certain amount. And obviously, like you said, auto combos tend to... Yeah, they take a lot of points away. but that's not one of the characters that has many juggle opportunities mid-screen. He really does need the corner. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's one of those situations where it's just like, yeah, play the matchup. You've got a really good fireball game, or anti-fireball game, but against a character with no fireballs, it's still a good fireball game. You can zone, you can keep yourself relatively safe. So, Oh, damn, I didn't know that. Ah, okay. That makes sense. Ah, yeah, that makes sense as well. Yeah, I don't think we've seen that interaction as of yet, but yeah. Really? Let me sort this out. I think it's OBS. There was game audio.
There isn't right now.
Okay, yeah. Shouldn't be now. Right. They should be able to hear you?
Yeah, there you go. Hello, stream. I've been talking. Wow, I've been talking, but no one's been hearing me. First, it was C4IQ. What should I call you, by the way?
Yeah, C4IQ is fine. That's all good.
Yeah. First, you couldn't hear me. Then the stream couldn't hear me. But now, hopefully, everyone can hear me. And yeah. Well, Paddu taking a 3-0. What's kind of fun about these characters as well is that they're both from Society. So they have some pretty cool interactions in their end cards. And yeah, that's great right there. Zeta has some issues with anti-airing, same as Vasaraga. They have some of the slower anti-airs in the game, and their hitbox extension isn't that great. But spacing 5H like that with Zeta is one of their best anti-airs, and you can usually convert it into some good reward. I know that you can do 2-2 confirms into a ground series as well, so you can do like 2-2x, X, and then put yourself down, and then you can land close heavy and go into 6-6x from mid-screen. I only, saw that recently, but it's pretty strong. Makes it his anti-air game pretty good. Speaking of, getting a 2H there, punishing Vasaraga's jump. Zeta's hitbox extension is really high up, which is lovely, but it isn't so good at calling out jumps late because it's a bit slow. And its hitbox extension is equally pretty tall. There you go. Vasaraga 2L, 2M, pardon. It's a really nice sweep. Makes up for him not having a low on 2L though. So there is a payoff there. And now you see Sandman starting to adjust. He's starting to play a lot more patiently, playing back with Spear and Beam, which is really what we want to be seeing in this matchup more often than not. But big damage button coming from the Vasaraga to put her back down to the ground. Hey man, I wish more people would sub to my OnlyFans. Yeah, right there. Another thing that you really need to watch out for as Zeta is that when he's doing stomps, you can't just let him get complacent with them. You have to start running up and throwing. But in a lot of ways, this matchup, and well, not just specifically Zeta Vasaraga, but playing against Vasaraga in general, you really have to know your options versus the offensive Vasaraga, because there are exploitable gaps in it. It's kind of similar to Charlotta, right? Once you and understand how to deal with the Vasaraga's options, it becomes a lot more go for his armor with 5U. You have a lot of options to deal with Vasaraga's dirt. Yeah, Paddu taking all of the round so far.
Yeah, that was pretty clean by Paddu there. Sandman did have opportunities, but I think you called it pretty well with how he wasn't really playing into the matchup correctly. The mobility that she has,
in that game.
Yeah, even though on paper it just looks like, well, you just keep Vass out and everything's fine. It's a lot easier.
All it takes is one mistake, you know?
Absolutely.
One mistake, one shoulder charge, and he's in. And when he's in, similarly to when you're in on Vasaraga as Zeta, there's really not a lot you can do in RPS situations, right? You're basically having to take the brunt end of it. But I feel like Paddu was also winning a lot of the RPS situations underneath Pogo, which really is ride or die for Zeta.
It's pretty much his win condition. And sometimes going in to get damage, you're just helping Vass make a comeback or do what he does best.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of patience, but at the same time, matchup knowledge specifically on knowing how to deal with his offense when he is in. Because if you don't know how to deal with Vasaraga's offense when he's in, he is just going to absolutely steamroll you. Because it's hardly even an RPS situation if you don't know the answers to the rock, paper, scissors, you know?
Yeah.
It's like trying to beat rock when you don't know what paper is.
Right, so this set is going to be Fidoskin against Sandman. Fidoskin, I don't know who he's playing at the moment. I've seen him go between a few characters. No spoilers, so we'll see. Update the scoreboards. Gran. Finally, I've seen a Gran. I haven't seen a Gran in so long.
Gran's so good, though.
He is. He's
Gran gives me
solid.
nightmares.
He's
Like,
a
this
nightmare
character
to fight,
has everything.
Sure. Yeah,
he has absolutely everything. And if there's a single character that I want to see meaningful nerfs to, it's Gran. It can be argued that a lot of the beta characters just have stuff that other characters don't.
Mm-hmm.
And Gran is definitely one of them. Like his 2U. Basically, the beta characters tend to have a relatively consistent trend of they have no recovery, which results in Gran getting plus frames in a lot of situations that other characters wouldn't. And not only that, having like very little recovery on his supers and his DPs can make them more awkward to punish at times, especially if you don't have the required knowledge, you know.
Yeah, no doubt. But Sandman has got the corner position, not the health life. But
yeah, and this is a hard matchup, so it's a good sign to see him getting at least some pressure going right now. Because usually Gran gets pressure there, and Zeta does not have the tools to deal with Gran's RPSs. Because basically, the second you get plus frames on Zeta, she's put into the fundamental mix-up of this game, right? Which is high-low throw, if you're going to reset pressure, if you're going to reversal bait. But you don't even have to reversal bait, really, against Zeta. So Gran can really just run away with offense, especially because he has so many ways of generating plus frames.
Yeah, it's harder for him to be negative than to be plus. That's the kind of character Gran is.
He's blue, man. It's GranBlue.
Yeah, the game is his.
One interesting RPS that I learned about Zeta recently is that on 2U on block, you basically set up a 50-50 in, am I going to, just reset, or am I going to cancel 2U on block into spear? Which is really interesting, because I never really thought about it until today, but yeah, you can definitely run that. So they have to make a guess after blocking 2Us if you're going to do that or not, because if they try to swing into you and take their turn back, they'll get hit by spear.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But on top of that, because of how spear works, when you're committing to spear, it's already an RPS situation, right? And am I going to commit to the second spear forwards? Am I going to commit to the second spear back? Or am I just going to reset to neutral, so I'm less minus? So yeah, it basically just leads to a less risky situation for Zeta, as well as being able to catch out anyone mashing against 2U. Nice little knowledge check. But Gran has a lot of those things as well. Like, his JU is probably like one of the best jump-ins in the game. You get the plus frames so high up, and the startup on it is so quick. It can be rough sometimes. But Zeta in the corner, this is not what you want to be. Because now you've got to take this high-low throw situation. There you go. Tries to detect the throw, gets hit by the universal overhead, and that's going to be big damage. Gran in particular can easily squeeze out 60-70% on a counter hit universal overhead. And yeah, Gran's definitely huffing some paint before every set, but you know, you gotta respect the paint huffers. But yeah, this is what I mean. When Gran gets in your head, because all he has to do, right, is make all the right decisions. But because the RPS is so skewed in favor of Gran, if you get even remotely flustered, you're gonna end up making a lot of bad callouts. For example, it's usually better to just take the throw in situations like that, because you're eating 60-70% from a counter hit universal overhead in Gran, as opposed to the 10%. But you know, he'll just loop that situation if you let him get away with it. Going for this super confirm there. And then trying to bait reversal, I guess, but now he's lost his turn. It's going to be hard for you to get back in. Obviously, beam is great, but because the recovery is so high on it, yeah, you're not going to be able to forward roll SSBA like some other characters can, like Catalina. Which again, beta character, so she recovers from her fireball fast as hell. But yeah, Streampuff is about, and he's happy to help out on commentary or to help out as a player, if you're interested in either of those things.
Which would you rather do? Because like apparently we need both. Because Aixy is still MIA, so what would Streampuff want to do?
I'll just ask him now.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact that he's up to do either. Getting back into the round though, this is more what you want to see from Zeta, right? Is zoning out Gran. But Gran has a great walk speed and a great jump arc, as well as great jump buttons. And Zeta really struggles with anti-air. So it can be a little bit rough trying to run this laser game. Especially because Gran's EX Fireball actually beats all of your laser options. But he doesn't seem to have an understanding of that right now. Really struggling to get in. But blocks the air-to-air high. That's good. So that means he gets plus frames and takes it all the way. Which is important, right? Doing empty jumps whilst blocking is really good to try and catch people out in air-to-air. But that's why, if you're trying to air-to-air like that, you shouldn't jump up with the intent of JHing someone. You should do air throw. Because you can, air throw is a really great tool in this game, especially for characters like Zeta, because it gives them a safe jump. Against characters like Gran with their pesky-ass reversals. And yeah, this is on PC. The European version of the game hasn't released on PS4 yet, but it does so tomorrow. And yeah, he says he doesn't mind playing.
Cool. Yeah, we'll get him to play then. I might have someone who can help in commentary. So
sick. Wow, that was a really interesting 2H from Zeta. Didn't get much reward from it, no. Which is again one of the problems with Zeta and her anti-air. Her air-to-air reward is pretty good because you get an air throw or you get JU, which leads to pretty big damage or a safe jump. But specifically, her 2H doesn't give great reward unless you get counter hit. If you can get counter hit, you can usually end up dumping 2-2x and 6-6x into it.
Nice.
But Gran, absolutely washing, man. Which is how this matchup can feel. This matchup can feel as bad as 60-40 or 65-35, honestly. Zeta really struggles with RPS situations, and Gran can definitely enforce them. So much plus frames. Not to mention, when you're messing about with laser and spear, he can just sometimes say, nah, fuck this shit, and just boot in. Because there's very little risk for him doing that. Because at most distances that you'd want to do something like that, you'll end up safe, even or plus. And there, you really have to worry about trying to... Oh wow, ends up whiffing the super. Yeah, no. Just TPs to try and beat out the mash successfully. Because why would there be recovery on supers, right? Beta characters are really something, huh? But at the same time, I feel like with a few nerfs to the top end of this game and a few of the bottom tier characters getting their functionality improved a little bit, the game's going to be in a really great spot balance-wise, and even really one-sided matchups can still be won because of the nature of this game's kind of rock, paper, scissory offense and defense. where everything's very fundamentals based, right? So if you have good fundamentals, I've seen players like Streampuff winning really consistently with Loane, right? Because fundamentals go a long way. And then making the right guess goes an even longer way. But yeah, Fidoskin taking a 4-0 there.
Yeah, pretty clinical play by Fidoskin with the Gran.
That matchup can definitely feel rough. Especially if you're kind of... Because I think it was a little bit obvious there that you're a little bit flustered. Because if you're being realistic with situations like that when you're in the corner, you're really not going to want to try and throw tech, or at least early throw tech like he was. You're typically going to try and late throw tech so that you can react to the universal overhead better. Because universal overhead's definitely reactable, and you don't want to be getting hit by that counter hit going for a throw tech. So it's better to just take the minus frames and a bit of damage from the late throw tech than it is to take the universal overhead.
Yeah, that's all it is, right? You can react to teching, but you always get the late one. To tech without taking the damage, you have to kind of guess.
It's very hard, yeah. It's very hard to actually react properly with it. But obviously your mental stack's already looking for it, but at that point, that's where you start getting caught by people mashing. Because if they're mashing and you're looking to, just throw tech, if they're not doing universal overhead, they'll beat out your throw tech. And they'll get damage. Which is why, again, the latest of this game's offense, with every single character has, whenever they get a plus frame, is just, am I going to go high? Am I going to go low? Am I going to throw you? Am I going to do universal overhead, which is the high option? Or am I going to bait a reversal? Or am I going to keep on mashing? Every single character has these 6 options, and these 6 options, form really great offense, with a lot of guesswork involved in it. But it also means that anyone playing any character making the correct guesses can take wins if they, set up these situations properly or something along those lines, which is great. It really makes the cast, it really allows the cast to be really unique, whilst all of them having a good chance at winning against each other, even in the worst matchups. Like, Ferry Zeta's pretty bad, but when Zeta gets on top of Ferry, her RPS is so heavily favored in Zeta's favor that it can really feel like a one-sided matchup.
Chosen for your final resting place.
Right, just putting in the scores. It doesn't look like we're going to get the other commentator, unfortunately, so I'm going to have to jump in when I can. But
no
we are going to get Streampuff holding it down for the 4th member of the Kumite today. We're just waiting for him to jump in the lobby. I believe he's got the information.
Yeah, he's just asked me for the password, so if you can throw that to me, I'll...
It is in the Discord. It's Muck7.
Any capitals or full lowercase?
All capitals, please.
I should be on his way now.
Cool. Yeah, we'll get him thrown straight into the frying pan. He'll be going up against Paddu. So let's see. Let's see if he knows how to play against Vass.
I can confirm he does, but does Loane have the tools that Zeta does to deal with Vasaraga is the real issue here. Which, the answer is no, right? A lot of the things that we're talking about is Zeta's ability to beam out Vasaraga, to use Spear to keep herself distanced and safe, and the fact that her 5U basically just completely crushes armor and stuff like that. But Loane really has none of these options. I mean, the best thing that he has, really, to get rid of the armor is EX Catalina, because that's a shit ton of hits.
Yeah.
But aside from that, like, trying to keep full screen control, I guess you could sit back. That's the thing. Both of these characters can sit back, but a lot of the rest of the cast kind of bully them to make them come in, which is why I feel they're lower tier. Because they can sit back, they want to generate armor. Loane wants to sit back, uses summons, and eat food all day, right? But a lot of the cast, for example, Zeta like to say, fuck that, no, you're coming to me, because I'm not going to let you sit full screen, because we have better tools than you full screen. But that's really not the case in this matchup. I feel like it's going to be one of two things, right? It's going to be Vasaraga forcing his way in really early, or it's going to be Streampuff sitting back, eating food, using summon. I mean, it could also just be, what's it called? Loane getting in, setting up his set play, and getting going. So the thing with EX parry, like in that situation there, is that you can actually spot dodge the follow-up in situations like that, making it so that you actually get a guaranteed punish on EX parry. So that's a real knowledge check that people need to know to be able to beat out Loane. Because the second you know that, that parry is basically useless. except as an anti-air, because obviously you can't land and spot dodge in time, so you eat a guaranteed punish there. Paddu dealing pretty well with HPA though, which is nice to see, because that's a big part of this matchup. If you understand how to effectively deal with Yigi and how to effectively deal with HPA, those supers then become fighting games and guesswork more than them just stealing rounds from you. But yeah, another big thing about this matchup, as a result of both of these characters having kind of opposing game plans and opposing tools, is that it's just going to come down to fundamentals a lot of the time. So the person who plays fundamentally better to get in on neutral or to play their game plan is going to have a better time. It's not that either of these characters really have a one-sided matchup here. If anything, I give it to Lewayne, weirdly. I feel like he has the tools to deal with Vasaraga a little bit better than the other way around. But if Vasaraga gets in, it's a rough time. Especially because I really don't think Lewayne has the answers to deal with armor. Like, how is he going to deal with Armored Stomp? I guess Wreckers? But the Vasaraga can probably easily react to Wreckers with the Armor Crush. I forget what that one's called. I think it's his life follow-up. The one that has infinite hits of armor. See, okay, there we go. So again, what you're gonna want to be doing against Vasaraga is you're gonna want to throw him out of his stomps when you can, because if he's up in your face like that, he's basically got to commit to an RPS situation is he going to continue stomping, or is he going to stop and go for a follow-up, in which case throw is going to be in. It's an interesting situation for sure, because it really is just guesswork at that point. But you're in the corner, you're taking the setup, and that tick throw is so nasty because the timing on it's so ambiguous. Like, Lewayne has some of the better setup play options, just completely ignore reversals as well. Dude doesn't have to worry about Paddu having super unlock right now. But there you go, great confirm. EX Catalina into Goon. That's the issue with Lewayne as well, is that at the end of the day, it's like, you can understand him having summons and you can understand him having joke supers, but both of his supers are joke supers, and both of his two of his specials are both summons. And on top of that, he has an absolutely useless parry. So it can feel like Lewayne's really missing a lot from his kit, because he effectively only has one special and then a summon as his actual specials. And there, right there, there you go, spot dodge. Spot dodges the EX parry from Lewayne, gets a free punish, and now Lewayne's sitting in the corner. But has Yigi on knock, and again, if you can just spam summons and spam food at full screen, that's what you're going to want to do. But as Vasaraga starts approaching, he calls in Yigi, get some reinforcements. And the general rule for anyone who's watching is you want to block rocks, you want to run away, like you want to sprint out of storm, you want to spot dodge fire, or jump fire, whichever, it depends. And then you want to block orb. But if you're sitting and you can see there's an orb already out and fire's coming, you want to jump and block. And that's the pretty basic, effective way to deal with Yigi for the most part. But again, once you know that, the Lewayne can start messing around with timings and calling in Yigi and walking forward, stuff like that, to start, turning it more into fighting games. Man, shoulder charge really isn't doing this much for Vasaraga, which I feel like is pretty much your only way to get in, right? I don't see him armoring up enough, but at the same time, with all the summons constantly coming at you, it can be a little bit rough. But jumping there, you're going to eat a huge punish trying to jump against Vasaraga. Actually ends up getting a drop, but keeps his position of advantage, gets rolled out of the... And now he's sitting in the corner having to eat a Lewayne set play, It's a big turn. Jumps out of the corner, which is nice, but... Ooh, here we go. Can he convert off of that? Because we've seen him do some sick conversions already. Doesn't end up killing. Calls in Yigi. Yeah, we weren't expecting to run Streampuff here, so... Give a little bit of leeway there on him having the UK flag. Oh damn, blocks the EX stance. This is getting damn close, but one touch will do it for either player. Both of them are in chip distance, but he ends up getting the sweep on the stomp. Wasn't armored, so...
That makes it 1-1, right?
Yeah, should be.
Yeah.
It's rather that or Streampuff won both, but I think Vasaraga took one. Yeah, I'm aware. I'm just trying to make sure everyone's, other people are aware that there have been a couple of issues, and that's why he had the UK flag. But Vasaraga has the corner pressure. This is exactly what we're talking about, right? So if Vasaraga can get his corner pressure going, he can get these huge ass damage confirms. But getting Wayne out of the situation where he's just eating food and using summons full screen is definitely a bit of a pain in the ass. But once you're in, again, he doesn't really have any great ways to deal with EX Stomp if it's armored. But I've got to be honest, like I haven't seen Paddu go for much armor in this matchup. It can be a little bit of a pain because you really don't want to give Wayne the space to start eating up and giving him the possibility for 2 supers in a round. Because, it's a big enough pain in the ass dealing with HPA or Yiggy, alone dealing with both. But the armor does go a long way in this matchup, I feel, for Vasaraga. He can really take advantage of it. Because Wayne doesn't have the best ways to deal with the armor. Especially on Stomp. 3 hits of armor on EX Stomp. The only thing I can think of is Rekka, but again, you can just react to it with the Armor Crush. Damn, is that going to be it now? I feel like it's really weird that Vasaraga doesn't get a lot of proximity supers. You have to be ridiculously close for his proximity super to go off. Bonk, bonk, bonk. Showing that I don't think Streampuff is that ready for EX Stomp. I personally played against a pretty strong Vasaraga, like a considerable amount, named How. So he made me learn. He made me learn how to do EX Stomp. Which is typically just to throw it, unless you think he's going to press a button, in which case to deal with the button accordingly, usually spot dodges, forward rolls, stuff like that. Vasaraga getting that 2M knockdown, but now you have to deal with EX Stomp again, and that should be dead, right? Ah, no, ends up getting a drop, doing the full auto combo. It looked like he tried to special cancel, but got the auto combo hit instead. Yeah, Paddu's sick, and I think Vasaraga's sick as well. He's definitely the low tier that has the most possibility to just run away with tournaments, honestly. Because whilst he is low tier, he's not super high stress to play. He has his game plan, it's relatively simple. If they deal with it well, you're probably going to lose, but if they don't deal with it well, you only need 1 or 2 touches, right, to really make it matter. 1 touch to get him to the corner, 2nd touch to kill him. Oh, shoulder charging through all the summons. That's a good adaptation to make. But at the same time, with armor, that's going to be even better, right? So you can go through EX Goons, stuff like that. But if he, the Lowain, ever goes in EX Catalina, the amount of pure hits that there are on that, wow, there you go. That's how you deal with HPA. Just mash jump and mash forward roll. Dealing with HPA really handedly there, though. Streampuff getting next to no reward for it. And this is where Lowain will start to feel a little bit stressed out. Because you really, are you going to look for building a 2nd super? Or are you going to try and just get rid of the last little bit of health that Paddu has? But at close distance, that's exactly where Vasaraga wants you, right? There you go. Super, that should be safe though, right? No, gets hit by the SSBA. This is going to be dead. That's what I'm talking about. It's a real stressful moment to be in at that point. Because you really have to decide if you're going to try and get rid of the last little bit of health in a situation that favors Vasaraga. Or if you're going to try and retreat and return to playing really safe. When all Vasaraga's going to need at that point is 1 EX shoulder charge, 1 cooldout to get in and end that round. I already thought the JU from the Wayne would have safe jumped last round though, so a little bit sad to see. JL cross up into a confirm, nice. I honestly think Vasaraga JL is one of the better buttons that not only he has, but one of the better jumping buttons in the game. Its hitbox and hurtbox extension is really good, and obviously JLs in this game in general are really effective to just bully your way in and give yourself plus frames. And yeah, whilst you definitely do need more Lowain corner mix in this matchup, at the same time, your entire game plan revolves around keeping Vasaraga pretty much full screen where you can eat food, use your summons, and just kind of poke away at Vasaraga. Not giving him a chance to get armor, because once he gets armor, the RPS starts to favor Vasaraga at full screen a little bit more. Wow, so much hopping coming out from Streampuff right now. I wait to generally gauge if someone's flustered or not especially at higher levels of play around that we're kind of watching right now, because I know Streampuff and Paddu are actually both great players, is just how much they're jumping. Because if you're jumping, like, these players know that you're not supposed to jump, right? They know that you're not supposed to jump, so if they're constantly jumping like this, hop, 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 you can tell that they're just trying to scramble their way back through neutral. Oh wow, that's not going to confirm, yeah. Straight into Yggdrasil, which is an interesting choice. I would have taken the punish and then summoned Yiggy, to be honest, but you can tell he's panicking a little bit, but all it takes is the opposing player panicking against Yiggy, and you can take a round back. And it also leaves you in a situation like that, full screen, if you don't end up successfully sprinting away from Storm, which is exactly where Lewayne wants to be, right? Keep on eating, gets the sweep, gets for the jump in. Wow, great. Uses a neutral jump to beat out the overhead there. Takes the round. How you doing, Kanza? Now, seeing Lewayne try and pressure Vasaraga mid-screen really isn't his favor. Wow, ends up getting EX parry there. I'm not sure if that was intentional, but he's getting his ass thrown right into the corner. Use your shoulder barge to kind of close that distance, and now he's sitting underneath the pressure. Yeah, historically we haven't seen him deal with it too well, and this is going to hurt. This is dead? Nah, okay. Pushback putting Vasaraga just a little bit too far away for that super confirm there. But he would have died for sure. That's crazy damage, man. EX Stomp is really kind of absolutely murdering. That's a thing to talk about as well. I didn't even think about that. I was talking about the fact that you want to sprint away from Storm, but Vasaraga's run speed and sprint startup actually makes it so that it's really hard for Vasaraga to not just have to sit there and take Storm. And Storm is so much damage. I think it's like 500 damage on block. That's really going to wear away at him, isn't it? EX Stomp. There you go. Throws him out of it. Nice. Good awareness. One more touch will do it for every player. And there you go, Chip. You're at a chip point at that point, so you really had to try and jump away. And one of the good things about Vasaraga and Percival's Fireball beats out forward roll, because forward roll doesn't actually have immunity to low moves. It basically, what ends up is it has a hurt box, that's so a move doesn't have to be low for it to be able to hit forward roll, it just has to be low to the ground. So moves like Percival and Vasaraga, Fireball, straight up beat it, as well as stuff like the Diva Sweep. Absolutely murdering. That's a thing to talk about as well. I didn't even think about that. I was talking about the fact that you want to sprint away. Yeah, it's a hard situation with Lewayne. I feel like he doesn't have the tools that's necessary to deal with Stomp, especially Armored Stomp. But, you know, it's kind of what Vasaraga would live and die by in this matchup. Once he gets in, if he can get Stomps running, it'll be all good. If you can't get in, can't get Armors, though, because you're doing summons full screen, it's going to be a little bit rough. Especially because Vasaraga is one of the characters that actually struggles to deal with Yggdrasil the most, because his movement speed is so slow. All right, coming in now, we have, I believe it's Sandman versus Streampuff. Now, Lewayne against Zeta. This is probably Zeta's best matchup, because we were talking a lot about what it is that Lewayne wants to be doing, which is sitting relatively full screen, doing summons, eating food, and then making supers a pain in the ass. But Zeta really shuts that down with Spear plus Bible. And one of the big reasons for that is, similarly to Vasaraga, Lewayne really has no way to call out back spear, so you can end up being really safe. But I will also say that Streampuff has a lot of experience against some good Zetas like Zavid. So he feels really comfortable in this matchup, according to him. And again, if you're in on Zeta, she has a really hard time dealing with RPS situations. And yeah, I mean, Lewayne can set up some really fucked up RPS situations in the corner. But, you know, you're dealing with Zeta offense without a reversal at that point as well, which is not that great. But a lot of Zeta's pogo setups, etc., are weak to EX parry in ways that most characters typically don't have to deal with, right? Because EX parry against grounded moves, you can cancel straight out of a normal into spot dodge or into a reversal, such as super or a DP, and you'll just smoke, absolutely smoke EX parry. But then when you're dealing with a jump series like Pogo, whilst each of those Pogos can be a safe jumps don't work against the EX parry because the hit will actually just straight up hit you at the sky before you can hit the ground. And it's air unblockable as well. So that's like one of the only situations where EX parry is pretty damn useful. But the matchup is still relatively hard for Luane to deal with Zeta's offense. Especially because if he does EX parry and Zeta just does nothing, that's a full combo for Zeta. So there's still an RPS situation there. It's not like EX parry can just be thrown around mindlessly. On top of that, in general, because of how glass cannon-y Zeta is, in that if on defense she crumbles, but on offense she prospers, especially against a character like Luane without reliable reversal options. The player with the better fundamentals, especially when it comes to jumping in the ground game, typically ends up absolutely washing the other one, from what I've seen. Of course, there's also the nature of if you don't know how to deal with Yggdrasil and HPA, you can get absolutely smoked by them. You can literally just have rounds stolen. So let's hope Sandman knows exactly what he's doing against them, otherwise you could see some rough rounds. Damn. Really, at this point, it's kind of just Streampuff's wailing on Zeta in the corner, but not getting much reward for it, which was not great to see. But there, right there. It's really hard to anti-air as Zeta, and Luane actually has some really interesting jump arcs where he kind of floats above you and makes it really ambiguous of JU if he's going left-right. And because of how low to the ground JU actually hits, you have to be really on point with your anti-air to get anything against him. Into the corner he goes. Oh, Aixy's awake. Yeah, okay, so it doesn't really matter because we are Streampuff playing now, but getting thrown into the corner. Perfect. And that's exactly how this matchup can go, right? If you win the round start, you can throw them right into the corner, do all of your reversal safe setups, and then it's just going to be absolutely feast or famine in that situation. The RPS is so heavily skewed in Luane's favor against Zeta in that interaction, but at the same time, you have the tools to keep Luane from getting into that position in the first place with Spear and Beam. They're really effective tools against Luane. And yeah, I believe the reason why he's doing that is that, you know, going for the non-EX wreckers is because he doesn't value the damage as much as he values getting the knockdown and looping his Oki at a moment's notice. Because a lot of the time, you're basically just RPSing, am I going to mash and then do Wrecker? Or am I going to just mash and do nothing? And then if I'm going to call out, you know, you blocking but doing nothing, then you can do mash and summon a summon and reset your pressure. So I think he values that a little bit more. There you go. You can't just sit there blocking, even with that much health. Which shows that it's, you know, it's not the easiest thing to deal with, Yggdrasil, especially when it's called in a situation like that, where the Luane's actually mid-screen as opposed to full screen. But you definitely don't want to be sitting there taking damage, because now you're put in this awkward situation. Wow, that's a really odd situation, right? Because Luane is -1, I believe, off of EX Wrecker, but for some reason, whenever I mash against it, I always lose. So maybe I've got to look into that. There you go. EX parry on Zeta in this matchup is surprisingly useful, because a lot of what Luane's going to be doing is going for single hits, but you can't get your way out of corner setups with it at all. And what you just saw there was an attempt at the universal fuzzy, as I like to call it. But yeah, the unblockable setup for Luane, where he basically sets up a situation where it's pretty much unblockable. I think there's a 1-frame window where you can manage to block the low and then the highs. But then, obviously, if the Luane are just his personal universal overhead timing, it makes it an unblockable setup. But obviously, with the use of spot dodge, you can sometimes choose your way out of it. But at that point, again, all the Wayne has to do is adjust and call out the spot dodge for a free punish, and it's back in his favor. So once you learn Wayne's stuff, it doesn't mean that he, it's just a gimmick character, because once you learn that stuff, he can then start to play fighting games, right, and call you out for it.
Believe in victory. Battle 1.
Same with Yggdrasil, same with HBA. But, he'd still much rather have a consistent reversal tool as a super. They should give him the Ginyu treatment and just straight up add a more reliable super for him. God knows it took him a long time for Ginyu though, so don't hold out much hope for Wayne. Especially as he's been designed as a kind of joke character, kind of similar to Ginyu. But that's gonna be it. Oh, maybe not. But yeah, you gotta block that situation. It's not the best. That's one of the things that is kind of annoying about Wayne's corner combos, is that usually you'd want a knockdown, right? But it turns out that it's actually incredibly annoying trying to deal with summons when you get an air recovery. It makes it really awkward as to when it is that you're exactly supposed to press buttons, and effectively makes Wayne plus even though you get to air recover, which is usually a bad situation. It also means that lots of characters are locked out of their reversal tools because they've been... It's kind of just like resetting a combo, right? Except Wayne just doesn't have the tool to bring them down and get a knockdown. So it's not like you're electing to reset them, it's just you're kind of forcibly doing so. There you go. If you manage to spot dodge there or use super against the EX parry, you could smoke it in situations like that, but in the heat of the moment, it feels really hard to do. Especially if you're not expecting the EX parry, which is obviously the only time where you're going to want to use the EX parry. All I'm saying is, if the whole thing with Wayne is that none of these fights are actually happening, it also means that lots of him and his goons talking about, hypothetical situations where they definitely actually beat Catalina up. It's kind of just like resetting a combo, right? Then why the hell did they not involve Wayne having a reversal? Or making it so that EX power... That's what I'm saying. Imagination, guys. Just a little bit of imagination. Your character could be way better. Imagine a real super. That'd be cool. Just saying. Or you can imagine Gran just being removed from the game. That would also work. I'd appreciate that one. Which is obviously the only time where you're going to want to use the X-Parry. See if we can get any paint hovers mad in the chat. Connection with the opponent was lost at times. Gran against, I believe, I'm not sure if he's going to stick to Wayne. But if he does stick to Wayne, Gran versus Wayne should be a relatively interesting matchup. It'll be like kind of like a Fundy City. Gran has a lot more honest bullshit than Wayne does, though. You can lab Gran bullshit all the time. You're still getting hit 50% of the time or whatever you want to say. But with stuff, make it less effective. And Gran definitely has the advantage in neutral. Lots of really great plus frame buttons, really great ways to just force his way in to stop Wayne from doing summons and eating in the back. Great fireball as well. Something that really needs to be mentioned when talking about the argument between these Shotos is that Gran's fireball has basically two effective fireballs, because it you can beat out the first hit of someone else's fireball by late summoning yours, and then your fireball comes out as well. So it's like a 2-hit fireball, effectively, if you use it properly. And then on top of that, it also runs so large and so low to the ground that it beats out low-profile moves like... who's got a good one? Gran. Gran has a good one. His 2U, completely low profiles, a lot of... completely low profiles, a lot of fireballs, like Catalina's, but gets absolutely smoked by Grans, weirdly. Ah, damn. Streampuff telling me that he would have played Ladiva if he wasn't requested to play Wayne. His Ladiva's pretty clean, man, but at the same time, Ladiva's terrifying. Will you guys be running a PC version of this tournament? This tournament is a PC version. There's quite a lot of PC events going on right now. I believe he was talking about, was it Norwegian or Dutch people running an event on this Thursday. And then on Wednesdays, there's also a series going on that's being run by Gibbs. And then every other Sunday, Hearts of Blazing is running an online PC event. So yeah, there's a lot of EU PC support going on right now for the online community. If you want links to any of it, I can, throw you on.
Yeah, what we need to do is after the stream's done, I'll get some promo cards from you and the Dutch guys, and obviously Gibbs as well, because I think he's gonna do his tournament monthly.
Yeah.
And it makes
That's what
sense.
I mean. I'm trying to kind of contact all of the EU communities that are running online events at the moment.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get myself involved and support each other.
Yeah, there's
So
also
everyone can just have a shit ton of GranBlue going on.
There's a Rambat that Ken Dip runs for the German community. I think it's on Tuesdays. So every Tuesday, he's got like a league going on for all the German players.
See, if we were to move this to Friday, it could be like Wednesday, Tuesday. Is there a Saturday event? I don't think there is, actually, when I think about it.
I don't think there's a Saturday or a Friday. The only reason I don't do Fridays is because I've got DragonBall on Friday.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'll have a look to see if there's anything on a Friday and Saturday, but I think they're the two days
Big days
things
that are missing
aren't.
other than
Yeah.
Monday. Yeah.
The rest of the week, there's always something, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, but my only run events are GranBlue every other Sunday because I run bi-weeklies, alternating between GranBlue and Dexard.
Oh,
But the events so far for GranBlue have been a lot of fun. But as we can see, we're getting in with Fido and Streampuff here. This matchup's going to be really interesting. I don't really know. Obviously, every matchup in the game kind of favors Gran because Gran's some shit. But I feel like if you can make this work with fundamentals alone, with Lewin, then you're in a relatively good spot. I think it's more even than a lot of matchups could be. It's not like Charlotte or Rosetta against Lewin. He really messed with his day, to be honest. Hey, Aixy. Sorry about us running on without you. Bit late. People were saying you were napping. What's the deal? Where were you? Yeah, see, we were talking earlier about the combo limit system as well. And you could see there that Gran ended up getting a combo limit where you'd usually see a lot more coming out of that combo. But that's because he used a whole, was it 2 or 3 auto combos? Either way, he used quite a lot of them, which really scales the amount of juggle points that you get in your combos. That's EST, so that's 1 hour. I had the same thought though, Aixy. I think there were quite a few UK people who were under the assumption that it was going to start at 8:30, but it's 7:30. But I realized when he posted about it in the Discord, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm an idiot. Starts in half an hour. Fidoskin with a huge health lead this round though. I feel like this matchup is definitely going to favor Gran, but if Streampuff can just muscle his way in, and then maybe steal a couple rounds with supers, we've really got to, kind of check this knowledge check right now. See if Fidoskin can deal with Yigi. Let's go. Yeah, I thought you got confused. Either way, we'll make sure there's no confusions next time. And sorry if there was anything that was going on this time. Damn, using the super, that's good. Yeah, just get completely forward rolled. You don't actually want to block that super because if you block it, Gran can recover in time. I'm not sure if he could at that range. But typically, you just want to forward roll it. That's the best way to beat his SBA. There you go, nice. Good to anti-air confirm. Sends him all the way to the corner, but Gran, instead of taking the pressure, is just kind of playing the fireball game here because Lewin really has no way to deal with that. And there you go, that far heavy just completely smoking the 2U from Lewin. Lewin, again, in some matchups, can literally just low profile most of the character's options with sweep. For example, Catalina, she has a hard time kind of beating that out, apart from just spamming to 2U and 2M. So in that matchup, Catalina ends up using practically only those moves to just completely shut out Lewin's sweep as a low profile option. Wow. Okay, forward rolling to get through that, but Gran has no recovery, so you're eating a big ass punish. Baits out the throw of a neutral jump. Doesn't end up getting a huge confirm there, though, which is surprising. Doesn't spend any EXs, you know? I think what might have happened is he might have tried to do EX Fireball, because it's one of his better starters, but ended up realizing he doesn't have it. There you go. Here's the knowledge check. Let's see how he deals with it. At the moment, Streampuff just saying, I want the chip. Calling in a couple of storms. That isn't going to punish. Luckily, his stinger isn't full screen. If Grand Stinger was full screen, we'd be dealing with some real shit. Damn, is there only really 2 sets left?
Believe in victory. Battle 1. Engage.
Yeah, just give Gran a full screen super. Technically, his SSBA is full screen, you know. You might be able to see it coming, though. Maybe. A little bit slow. But it does beat other fireballs, so really it's a big brain move that the paint-huffing online Grands came up with. As a countermeasure to all those terrible Zeta players spamming fireballs. Now, this is where you're really screwed, right? You've got the summon, and even if you're going to just sit there and play retroactively and play properly into HPA, you do not have enough HP to do so. So you're going to have to start making some hard callouts with forward rolls and stuff like that, at which point you're playing fighting games, but he's got like a 1 in 6, you know, 6 opportunities to hit you. All it's going to take is the 1. And that's a lot of pressure. The second that you even have pressure, when you're inside of Yigi and when you're against HPA, it's kind of setting you up to fail, you know? Because if you start getting flustered, you're going to make worse decisions, which ends up with you getting smoked by a pretty... We'll go with unstable supers. I think just give Luane a stable super option for damage. Because on certain anti-air confirms, you can actually anti-air and then call in HPA and then go for the guaranteed damage, but even that's less damage than most anti-air into super confirms. Some characters like Gran and Catalina get a solid 60-70% on counter hit anti-airs. And right here, he has such a huge health lead that he can just sit around eating and calling in summons. And it basically just threatens the fact that I know you don't have enough HP to deal with another super cool. So I know that you've got to come to me now. As opposed to sitting full screen, firing off fireballs like you have seen in the past, where that favors Gran. But in a situation where you're kind of being forced towards him, you're playing on the Wayne's terms, so that's in his favor. We saw a lot of hops coming out as well that didn't actually end up getting punished, but he could have air thrown a couple of them if he ran forwards, but there you go. The second that Gran gets his way back in, that life lead means nothing, man. If you make the wrong guesses, you're going to get eaten alive. Starting off with round start boot, and Luane's knockoff version of round start boot, round start wrecker. Wow, 2 Yup into sweep, it's so nice. The sweep into wrecker, but a lot of Gran's moves, like we're seeing, aren't going to get low profile by that sweep, like a lot of other characters have to deal with Luane. It's one of the most redeeming elements. It's kind of similar to Gran, except Gran doesn't approach with his 2U. But his 2L has so little pushback on it that you can stay so plus for so long. It's kind of gross. Is this character locked? I'm not sure. I believe so, though. I'm not 100% sure, though. So don't take my word for that. Ah, there you go.
Believe in victory. Battle 1. Engage.
Forward rolling the fireball from Gran is great for a number of reasons. Obviously, it's great because you're getting a positional advantage and you're not getting hit by a fireball. Both of those are great things. But on top of that, the way that the cooldown system in this game works is that until, you know, any entity that you put out onto the screen, like a fireball or a summon, until that thing goes away, it doesn't start calculating whether the move's on cooldown or not. So effectively, by forward rolling even a correctly, you know, used special like 236L with Gran, you're effectively putting it on cooldown until that entity has left the screen. which is a great way to kind of muscle your way in if you're struggling with characters like Catalina and Gran throwing a lot of fireballs. Just forward roll it, then they won't be able to use that option for a while. Literally just running him down. The one thing that you never want to do against HBA is jump, because it's a guaranteed confirm for him. It's his fastest option, it's his easiest one to react with. He doesn't have to, it's harder for him to react to stuff like forward roll and you're just sitting there blocking than it is for him to just press a button and get a free anti-air confirm. Ends up working relatively well for Fidoskin here, but you still ate a little bit of a punish. When HBA is technically reactable, as long as you just sit there, guard, standing, and then react to the low with a forward roll, you're completely fine. As long as you have the health to eat that. Because, a lot of chip damage coming in. But here we go, seeing the second super of the round coming in. This is what I'm talking about. You can't sit full screen, letting him do whatever he wants, gets fire, boom, dead, unblockable. Whoever gets the life lead in this has a pretty distinct advantage because they get to dictate the pacing of the game. But right now we're seeing Luane actually eating a lot of fireballs, trying to get those summons out, but then he adapts, instantly starts forward rolling, which gives him the initiative in that situation because now Gran is locked out of fireball for a lot longer. So he can start sitting back at full screen, eating, and Gran can't do anything about it. So that forces Gran to then come in turn, which is what you're trying to make him do. But it turns out when Gran's in on Luane, it's not pretty. It's not pretty for Luane. So there's a slight, fundamental gap, fundamental flaw in Luane's general game plan. Which is sure, you got them to come over here, you annoyed them, but now what? You gonna EX parry them? Nice joke. But Yugi getting called in, Desperation Yugi. Let's see if he can steal the round back. Damn. Not only can he not take the round back, Fidoskin dealing with the Yggdrasil call really well. And as you can see, if you end right up close to Yggdrasil, as she's ending, there's actually recovery frames on it. So that's why a lot of the time you'll see the second that you're close to Yigi, the Luane player will always use rocks to get you away from them, to make it harder for you to get guaranteed punish on Yggdrasil. Same can be said for Storm as well, but Storm becomes less effective the closer they are to you, because it's a lot easier to react with sprint forwards. It's really rough when you're already in the Storm range, so let's say you've been pushed back with rocks towards Storm, to then have to react with sprint. You kind of have to act retroactively, which can get you caught by, another rock school or something like that. Of course, you can just block Storm, but then you're eating 500 damage worth of chip damage. There you go. This is where Yigi is an absolute menace. You walk him into the corner with Yigi, and a lot of the stuff becomes nigh unblockable, but the problem is that you're calling it in a desperate situation where you have no HP, and Fidoskin can probably eat basically everything you do with Yigi, still survive, and then get the punish there. I think Streampuff, because with his absolute slew of secondary characters, is probably going to do a character switch here. This matchup definitely doesn't fare because, wow, you're a bottom tier playing against arguably one of the best characters in the game, so how good can that matchup get for you? If you could deal with Gran, you'd probably be a high tier yourself, Luane. All you got to do is collect all of your bros, have them imagine a situation sucks somehow. Don't know how you're going to do that, but imagine that, and then you can beat him, right? But bringing out Ladiva, I know that he's been really, really, really feeling Ladiva at the moment, and his Ladiva's pretty solid. He's likes to say that it's like the only grappler that he can play, but I imagine he could pick up Gi Fin, SF4, and do just fine, if I'm honest. There you go. Now, because of the hitboxes and the hurtboxes on Ladiva's jump-ins, she's actually really hard to anti-air, even for a character like Gran. I feel like Gran and Ladiva both have the best anti-air in the game because they get the great reward mid-screen or in corner. They are really fast, their hurtbox and hitbox attention is great, but Ladiva's jump-ins, similar to Lisa Gran's, because Gran's are pretty good as well, but Ladiva probably has the best jump-ins in the game. But obviously, you have a reversal tool to deal with that, but it's really awkward when Ladiva's directly above your head, trying to figure out which way you're supposed to use your inputs without having them crossed up by her. It can be a pain in the ass, but you can deal with it. But wow, is he 2L2L into super? Damn, good ass confirm. But now it's set point as well. Fidoskin takes the next round. This is over. Seeing him forward roll fireballs like we were talking about earlier. Good ass adjustment, but it's hard against Gran to really get anything meaningful going because even if you do all of this, all it takes is Gran making a correct call out on an RPS situation and he'll be fine again. And Gran definitely has the tools to deal with Ladiva's RPSs a lot better than other characters in the game, like let's say Zeta, Vasaraga, stuff like that. There you go, nice. Quick anti-air into the corner. Goes to bait the throw, but actually ends up just getting hit with Universal Overhead, which leaves you +1, which effectively sets up a poke throw situation again. But ends up getting absolutely mauled now. All the way back to mid-screen. Health lead completely in Streampuff's favor. And at this point, it's really hard for you to call fireballs, because if you call a fireball, it can just get absolutely smoked. There you go. Speaking of, smoke. And you could tell when Streampuff was okay with taking this life lead and walking back a little bit, you could tell that he was looking for it. Yeah, it's where you gotta start, like, whiffing Farlights, doing some real big brain stuff. But as far as I'm concerned, Grand players might not have the biggest of brains. But does it matter? Look at that, bro. Plus, ends up getting mashed on anyway. But you're sitting there, right? Just swinging at the air, trying to bait out the Diva super. Sometimes you can just look like an absolute clown. There you go. The Lever's Lariat is something that you always want to be ready for in neutral. It's one of the more interesting neutral interactions in the game, I feel. Where if you... basically, the correct way to deal with it is actually just a duck. It isn't to block it. It isn't to try and mash it. It isn't trying to do anything like that. Just duck. You see it coming, you duck. You predict it coming, you duck. And that's sick. It's really interesting. You have to deal with it in a different way to a lot of other stuff, but... assuming you do correctly deal with it, it isn't the best neutral tool because it does have such a clear-cut answer. And characters like Gran and Catalina and Zeta, etc., they have really good pokes from crouching. Yeah, you're gonna die there, damn. Alright, Fidoskin taking a 4-1. But when they have such good crouching tools, it's gonna be really hard to just kind of bully your way in with Lariat. But assuming you're seeing someone standing up a lot, get a Lariat in, you gotta crush them, you know. And I believe on EX Lariat, you actually get like a confirmed like combo off of close light. Right, so next up we're going to be having... and the winner's going to play against Aixy. I'm not sure, but I've heard that he's playing a lot of Catalina at the moment. Watching Gran Catalina fight as if this is like day one of the beta. But Gran Vasaraga is the match we have to deal with first, and this is an interesting matchup, right? Because all the same issues that we've been talking about for the other characters dealing with Gran apply so much more here. Vasaraga, when he's underneath the pressure of Gran with his worst walk speed and stuff like that, really can't deal with RPS all that well. So he has to play pretty much flawlessly, but if he does play flawlessly, he can blow any character in the game up. And Gran weirdly doesn't have the best tools to deal with armor either. Except his EX Fireball is pretty good at smoking EX Stomp. Speaking of, there's EX Stomp. You get the follow-up, you get a little bit of a Gar Crush there, which gives you some effective plus frames, which is nice. But, you know, you spent EX Stomp, you spent, you know, the position advantage that you had. You really didn't gain much because you ended up blocking it. So where the RPS can feel a little bit rough and favored towards Gran, because really, does he even have to try and call you out with a throw like that? And the answer is no. He can just kind of let you waste your cooldowns and then take back his turn. And he also has, you know, reversal tools to try and deal with it as well, which can straight out beat a lot of the options out of Vasaraga stance. Damn. doesn't end up getting these shoulder charges, gets him thrown towards the corner, and now you have to take an RPS situation, which again, Vasaraga does not have the best tools to deal with. Doesn't have the quickest buttons, doesn't have the best walk speed to try and call out people running backwards and doing little shimmies. And doesn't have a reversal. That's the big one. If they gave Vasaraga like a reversal option on maybe his armor, damn, it would be pretty sick. Like reversal armor cool, kind of similar to Chaos Springer's DP. Might make that character too strong though. Not gonna lie, Vasaraga's pretty damn good. Like even the weakest characters in this game have some stuff. Lil Wayne being the only one where you could tangibly say has no stuff, because a lot of his stuff comes down to gimmicks. But once you learn those gimmicks on offense and defense, it starts to become fighting games. So he still has some stuff because the fundamental offense in this game is so good. Like poke throw and high-low throw, it's so great in this game. You can go all the way there with it. Like Gran only needs 2 buttons, right? He needs throw and he needs universal overhead. But he can make it work. I like that. You're sacrificing your Oki as Vasaraga there to get armor. I feel like in this matchup, that's pretty damn important because Gran really has no great ways of dealing with armor. Speaking of, though, if he gets you in the toes before you get into an armored stance, he's still going to take a ton. But yeah, I definitely focus on trying to go for armor in a lot of these matchups. I feel like that's the one area that Paddu is kind of lacking right now. His confirms are great, and his pressure's pretty solid as well. But it's just, you need to greed him more for that armor. Even if you end up taking a hit whilst generating that armor, as long as you get that armor, it puts you in a great spot against a lot of these matchups. Because the characters, excluding Zeta, because Zeta does have the tools to deal with it, don't really have the options to deal with stance and all the armor. Obviously, Gran can just reversal, but if you call in that crush, or if you just do nothing, you can end up getting a hard punish on it. Which for Vasaraga in mid-screen or in the corner is a big-ass punish. Damn. Paddu taking back around. It's now match point. I think it's really interesting. Like, guard crush in general in this game is really interesting because it acts as effective plus frames, but it's really variable depending on which move you're actually using. Some of them give you guard crush, but then you're minus. I don't really get what that's about. Some of them, I don't believe any of them actually make you minus enough to be like directly punishable afterwards, but it wouldn't surprise me. Just looks goofy, you know, you guard crush someone and you get smacked. But speaking of getting smacked, takes the armor again, which is lovely. Let's see if he can make any use out of it here, though. Because he's underneath a lot of pressure, but again, every single touch from Gran effectively puts you in pressure because he can keep himself so plus. And he can get so much reward from any of the options that you feel like you're really stuck there, having to take it. It's not like other characters where you can really take a bet on getting out. Because you're going to eat a pretty big punish if you get caught out on it. Damn, goes for the throw there, trying to beat out the EX stomp, but again, he stopped doing the stomps and called in the attack, which is the way to beat the throw, or to call out the throws. But obviously at that point, if they just do nothing, they usually get to just chill. And have effectively survived the stomp. Fidoskin's taking the rounds really quickly here. And again, even though like Gran doesn't exactly have the tools to deal with armor so well, that's the one thing that Vasaraga's got going for him in this matchup, and you have to specifically set that up at some point. And it's really hard to find a moment in neutral to set that up against Gran, because Gran has such solid neutral in full screen, mid screen, and in the corner, you name it. But with Vasaraga, here you go. You get that positional advantage, you get that armor going, you can take rounds. That's another interesting thing, is that Vasaraga can, like, not to the same extent as other characters like Percival, but he can alter his air movement with his jump normals, which is nice. Because that alone is a big thing in this game. If you can make your jump arc a little bit more ambiguous, it makes anti-airing it harder. Even though as Gran, honestly, you can still anti-air it pretty easily. a hitbox on 2H is kind of wild. And fast. Do you know there's a whole 6 frames of difference between Gran's 2H and Vasaraga's 2H? 6 frames. Talk about protagonist bias, you know? But Paddu taking a solid round back. That's 2-1. Yeah, we'll call it plot armor. But it's also arguable that it's not just protagonist armor, it's like beta character armor. Or early build armor. If you're in the original characters, you'll notice that there's a trend that none of them have recovery and all of them break the rules of the game. But it's okay because they're honest, right? Full screen boot into plus frames, that's honest. Come on, man. Block, just don't get hit. Just take the mix up, bro. Yeah, you get some ridiculous ass confirms from it. And like some of the biggest confirms in the game, other than Vasaraga getting like an anti-air super, if Vasaraga gets an anti-air counter hit super with 236, 236U, he can literally take like a solid 90% from you. But outside of that very specific weird situation, Gran and Catalina can both get ridiculously high damage confirms on anti-air counter hits by using their lariats. Non-EX and then using the EX one. And you end up like almost getting full screen corner carry into a solid 50-60%. It's kind of gross. But the heights need to be relatively specific for it, so it's not like you can always grab it. And that's like some of the biggest damage in the game is Catalina and Gran on counter hit anti-air. Because they managed to get double special off into the rest of the supers, specials and super dumps as well. Damn, Paddu taking another one. Big bonk. No, it's not only that, it's the consistency as well. Because some of the biggest damage confirms, right? But how often are you going to be getting a counter hit anti-air 2 for 6U from the corner as Vasaraga? Not that often. But how often are you going to be getting a mid-screen anti-air confirm as Catalina and Gran? The answer is very often. If they jump, you're probably getting one, if you're ready for it. Which is nice. That's like the big solid thing about Gran and Catalina, right? Even though they have just pretty basic, honest tools, they're so consistent, so stable. They can feel a little bit overwhelming at times. These characters have to rely a little bit more on not necessarily gimmicks, because they're not gimmicks, but they're definitely more gimmicky than just the fundamentals of a fighting game. But at the same time, characters like Vasaraga, you see that mid-screen confirm? You can get some definite dirt on these characters, like Vasaraga 2M. And again, an RPS situation like Stomps with armor, Gran really doesn't have the best tools to deal with it. He ends up getting cancelled out of the armor twice now, which is not the best, because now you're in the corner with no armor. That's what I mean. It's hard as Vasaraga to really get the armor going, but when you do, Gran really has no ways to deal with it, apart from EX Fireball. Bonk, bonk. There you go. Scary thing about Stomp is that there's a big enough gap in between each of the Stomps that it can chip kill as well. Because the way that this game works is that if you're put at you have your health, right? And specials can deal chip, but you reach a certain point just before you die, where you reach, let's say, 2 HP, and then the next one, the next special, the next chip, will only put you down to 1 HP. Which means that you then need another special to kill them, because if the special that's currently hitting you is a true block string, it can't, that singular special can't push you from 2 HP down to 0. So you need a gap between what put you from 2 HP to 1 HP to be able to then finish you off from 1 HP to 0. But Stomp, for example, has a big enough gap that it leaves a block string gap. So you end up being able to chip people out. So that puts even more pressure on that RPS situation when he's stomping towards you and you're very low to chip point. Damn, anti-air confirm. Also, is it just me that gets like kind of pissed off watching a kid in a hoodie do an anti-air, then whiffing a normal, and then booting me from one side of the screen to the other? That rubs me the wrong way, man. All these people turning up in their big ass armor. Look at Vasaraga. He's ready to go, you know. Kid turns up with a fucking hoodie and a boot. He's throwing everyone around. Also, what's your guys' thoughts on the dub for the game? I personally, like, physically am pained when I hear dubbed Gran. But I've heard some people actually don't mind it. Right? I'm the same. It made you drop Percival? Just put him to Japanese, man. Then again, and the age-old question: why play any of the other Shotos when you could just play Gran Catalina? Is it just the premise? Yeah, yeah, it's just the premise. My character, like, that's why I'm trying with all my might to just avoid listening to Zeta's dub, because it's so fucking bad that it would make me start to dislike the character just innately on the premise that this is what her dubbed voice sounds like. And what I really don't get about dubs is that there are great English voice actors. You know, there are great Western voice actors that do great work in animation stuff all the time. So I don't understand why we end up with the same kind of homogenized sounding characters on dubs. Go from Zeta sounding pretty badass to Zeta sounding incredibly whiny. It's a bit weird to me. But now we're at 3-3. This is set point. Either one of them could take it at this point, and then go ahead to play against Aixy. I do know for a fact that a lot of people do like the dub, though. So, not knocking you if you do like it. I just personally, I'm not a huge fan. Especially on Grans. Because it's not just Gran that sounds a little bit stupid. You know, Gran's mostly making grunts, saying things every now and then. But it's Lyria and Vern as well. They've got very annoying dubbed voices as well. And then this little kid with a little hoodie and these little boots comes in, beats me 2-0. And then Vern and Lyria start making these weird screeching noises. It's not fun, man. It's not fun. Super 6, yeah, this is going to hurt. And Vasaraga gets a pretty much guaranteed armor at this point as well. But Gran does have his super on lock. Yeah, that's a fair point. The Japanese community... okay, before we go on to that, that right there is exactly what we wanted to do. I was thinking about the fact that whilst Gran does have super, and so we're going to be split into a situation where Gran has super, and Vasaraga has armor, right? Which basically sets up the tone for, is Gran just going to panic against the armor of Vasaraga and use SSBA, when Vasaraga has an option out of his stance to basically just completely crush any amount of hits. He has like infinite hits of armor, but he's committed to that option, right? And it's punishable on block. But yeah, he calls it out. He calls out the super. Absolutely crushes it. Which is nice. Like, again, when you have your armor, you have ways to deal with Gran and to force him into unfavorable RPS situations like he does every single time he touches you. But this looks like it's going to be it, with Paddu going ahead, taking the win. You end up like almost getting full screen. Ooh, oh, damn. And we've seen this like all over as well, right? Everyone's talking about this entire time. Vasaraga's weak, you know, but Vasaragas are taking tournaments everywhere. Is it a lack of matchup knowledge? Is it specific player matchups? Or is it that people are just kind of sleeping on the fact that every character in this game has some source? Especially Vasaraga. Vasaraga can make stuff work. He has good tools for fundies, but not quite as good as other characters. But assuming you make the right callouts, you get some of the best reward in the game. But yeah, GG's to Paddu. So officially, Paddu has just won the Kumite, I believe. But now we might be going on to see him play against Aixy.
Yeah, Paddu won, for sure. I'm just going to try and get Aixy in here. I feel bad because I did give Aixy the wrong time. I told him half 8 instead of half 7.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, for some reason, were assuming it was. I was assuming it was. I knew that someone else was. But
Yeah.
when you sent that message in Discord, I was like, oh shit, it's now.
Yeah, my bad. I got confused with the time that I do Dragon Ball Z. So definitely my fault.
Yeah.
Hold my hands up. But yeah, instead of letting down Aixy, I said obviously just let him play the winner, which is Paddu, because he beat everyone. I think everyone he played, I think he beat. So
Really?
yeah, like you said, Vass is definitely a
Getting
character.
slept on. Or maybe it's just the players, to be honest. Like, when you objectively look at the characters on paper, Vass definitely has some pretty big shortcomings, but we see so many players, really good players at that, making him work there.
So yeah, I don't know if Aixy's still in the chat. Doesn't look like it.
Damn.
I think I messaged him on Discord. Let me do it again, just to make sure.
Yeah. Oh, Paddu has to go soon anyway, apparently, as well.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, apparently.
Is Fido still here? Oh no, Fido left. Everyone's left.
Ah, Aixy's here now as well, but... So let's see if they'll go ahead and do it, but...
Yeah, Pad, do you have to go
That's
now,
okay.
or...? See what he says. If not, I'll have to get Aixy on another one.
Okay, yeah. No, Paddu says that you can do a set, so...
Okay, cool.
Let's run that.
Aixy, you there? I'll just type the password in the chat.
I'll just throw you a tweet as well, because you're asking for, information on the stuff. But yeah, I've got a tweet for the next event that's going to be happening. Signups end, the week's gone so fast because there's been so many events that I've been messing about with.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty nice, Everyone's self-isolating, everyone's chilling,
Yeah, that's
getting
it,
to
innit?
play tons of GranBlue.
It's really good for online, sorry, because no one's got an excuse. Everyone has to come out.
Yeah, I mean, I like online quite a lot because I live in the middle of nowhere in the UK. But
Oh, that's the worst. As long as your connection's good.
yeah, right.
Yeah, that's alright.
But it's hard to get a good connection in the middle of nowhere. But luckily, I've managed to get it relatively stable. Had to drill like 5 holes through the house. Get a long ass Ethernet cable up here.
Right, where is... Oh, Aixy's here. Cool. Right.
Yeah, he's ready. He's ready.
Do a quick first to 4. Let me get the names sorted. We've got Paddu on the player 1 side, and Aixy, aka Jet, on player 2. Let's see who Jet plays as well, because I know he's...
Yeah, right. He's kind of an enigma, kind of like Streampuff, in that you really don't know what he's going to bring out. I believe he's been playing Catalina lately, but, who knows?
Let's see who he blesses us with.
Basaraga. Vegeta, there we go. I also know that he used to play Zeta, on release. That was his original, in inverted commas, main character. And this matchup is definitely favored towards Zeta. It's the same situation as we were talking about before with Sandman. She really has the tools to keep Basaraga out. And here we go. This is what you want to see bounce out. You don't want to see, Zeta jumping forward, trying to get into that space. Now you just want to see her zoning out with the beam and then preparing to use Spear to then back out safely if Basaraga gets too close. Obviously, then you have to be a little bit worried about jumps, but because Basaraga's move speed and jump arc is so bad, let's just put it frankly, bad, he can't cover a lot of horizontal space, so he's going to need to successfully jump and forward roll, and see that little tiny distance he covers with forward roll? It ends up meaning that he's going to really be looking to commit to armor and EX shoulder charge to try and force his way in all the time, but obviously Zeta does have options to beat that out. But being Zeta, you're a glass cannon. You get hit once, you're gonna die. Speaking of, she's dead. Also, Basaraga, level 1, with proximity, easily the coolest super in the game. Well,
Yeah.
level 1 super in the game.
I agree. Until Saurus comes out, I agree.
Level 3, I still think goes to Ladiva, though.
Oh yeah,
Her
I
SSB is really
don't
cool.
think anything will beat that. The free count is pretty epic. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
Stomp. Yeah, Zeta has a hard time dealing with that when he's already on top of you. Obviously, if he's not on top of you, you can start using 5U to just completely smoke the armor. But when he's directly on top of you, you're playing Zeta. You're playing a gas cannon in a RPS situation, right? And you have no reversal tools that outright beat it other than super. So you kind of just got to take that. A wrong, one wrong call out going for a throw can cost you 60% of your life. So you usually just want to sit there and block it. But if you jump, similarly, one good call out, you're going to take 60% of your life.
Yeah, I've not seen many people trying to roll for it.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do, right? You're supposed to wait for the actual move, and then you're supposed to spot dodge it or roll it.
Yeah.
The only one that beats the roll is the low sweep, so that's why you sometimes just default to spot dodge. But in a situation like that, when you're in the corner, the risk reward, obviously in the RPS situation, of taking forward roll instead and rolling out the corner, putting Vasaraga, similarly a character without good reversal tools, into the corner, where you can run mix-ups as Zeta, one of the best characters in that specific situation. Rough. But speaking of rough situations, Vasaraga in the corner with his slow buttons against Catalina and her fast ass button. Just a great anti-air confirm with 5H, and there you go, perfect.
Yeah, this is pretty grim for Vash. Not only because of the tools, it's the range. There's a range where Cat's buttons all work, and where his don't. Like none of them work.
They won't. Yeah, you won't have any buttons to beat out 2M, 5M. You just basically got to wait until she's pushed herself far back. Until she has pushed herself far back enough from punching you that then she'll have to walk forwards, and then you're like, okay, now I have maybe 1 or 2 frames so I can do something.
Exactly.
But until then, damn, that TP just absolutely smoking the crush purely because it just went over his head. Bit weird. There you go. This is the real problem as well, because you're never going to get a situation where you can like full screen stomp, or where you can full screen armor or shoulder charge. Well, you could full screen shoulder charge in theory if you manage to already get the armor, but because you're never going to get the armor against Catalina full screen,
yeah,
it can be really rough.
Uh...
Damn, but again, all it takes is a couple of hits. He's not going to get the proximity super because it wasn't close enough, but now you're in the corner, but you've ended up in Catalina's poke range. Ooh, gets hit by the low projectile, but there you go, takes out that round. Now it's 1-1.
Yeah, 2B. It's a very unrated button, I feel. Although Cat's got a lot of good buttons. Far H, Close B. Her 2B, I think, is a game-winning tournament. There's a lot of things that it beats, and a lot of characters that can't really fight around it.
Yeah, I would say that, if I'm honest, like, the only situation in which 2M is better than 5M is against characters with low profiles, like Loen. But if a character doesn't have any low profiles, you're just going to absolutely smoke them with 5M. The frame data's on it is a little bit better, but at the same time, Catalina, well, Aixy showing right here that Catalina does not have a lot of recovery, so you can just absolutely spam those buttons.
Yeah.
As long as you're doing like micro walks in between each of the buttons, you can stay in pressure for so long as well. Constantly throwing fireballs, cancelling into fireballs if you think they're going to try and whiff punish you back with, to try and catch the recovery of the move. You just throw out a fireball, beats it. But then you don't want to throw out too many fireballs, because then they can kind of expect that and deal with that. But again, Catalina has a fireball that you can low profile with characters like Gran and Luane, but when you're as big as Vasaraga, I don't think you're going to be low profiling literally anything. Just walking back patiently. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, it's rough. I think going for it, yeah.
Oh, he's got armor. There you go. Yeah, it's weird though, because usually the Catalina would be constantly throwing out fireballs at that situation to make it so that if you go for the armor, you're going to get hit. But Aixy was just kind of walking backwards. Not sure what that was about, but it's going to end up taking him around here, so.
Yeah, I think
Can't
he's
knock it, you know?
playing ultra passive, just so nothing random happens. He doesn't get hit by
Yeah,
can.
he has the life lead,
can
right?
hit shoulder,
So.
yeah. And that can disappear really quick against fast. All it takes is one can hit shoulder. You don't even need to do EX, because the counter hit gives you a wall bounce. And we all seen what Vast gets from a wall bounce.
Yeah, and you can get a guard crush as well in certain situations. Nice, but nothing that'll keep you plus. And that's the real problem with Vasaraga, right? Is that you just don't have many ways to really generate plus frames. So either you're crushing their guard and you're getting a combo, or you're just minus as hell. And that a lot of that comes from the fact that he has a lot of recovery on his moves and a lot of startup. So he feels being slightly minus a lot more than certain other characters like Catalina, who can, every single thing that she's throwing out here is slightly minus. but because it's pushing itself back into spacing that is less impactful for her, and she can cancel it into Fireball, it makes it so that even though it's minus, you're effectively still plus. Especially against a character like Vasaraga, who has a hard time with not having really fast button.
Yeah, no, it's very committal and preemptive buttons. He gets a big reward of it, but against a character that can just react at almost
very
half
low commit
screen,
buttons.
yeah, like and be relatively safe all the time. You need
That's where you really start to feel the gap in power between the characters.
You need a super big brain to make Vass work at this level.
Yeah, and the problem is that whilst we've seen, at this level he can work, it also turns out that at this level, lots of people are playing Catalina and Gran, because those characters are damn good. And Ferry, yeah. Ferry gives Vasaraga a whole other slew of problems to deal with.
Yeah.
But, at least he has that 190% damage combo against her, where she does a setup, he does 236, 236U, and bonks her out of the instant JL. Instant overhead JL. You can get like 90% off of that, but,
That's fair.
How often that's going to be happening, Not the best. Especially when Ferry against Vasaraga, she doesn't have to jump. She doesn't need the instant overhead option. That's just something she has. She doesn't need that. She can just run you over with a poke throw.
Oh, good start here for Paddu.
Yeah, just getting the pressure going. Whiffs the command throw though, and now you gotta just basically deal with the onslaught of buttons. And you can see there that Catalina can go from 2L into close medium, keep herself absolutely plus while setting up for a frame trap on far medium. In other words, Catalina's got some good ass frame data, which isn't really that present on Vasaraga. A lot of Vasaraga RPS situations aren't set up from frame data so much as they are from him, going into stance or doing something a little bit more proactive. There you go, trying to go for the bait throw tech with the universal overhead. That is a safe jump or nah?
I guess it's not safe. It looked pretty safe jumpy, but
it looks right. I also know that Vasaraga has some super crush options with that super as well. So
okay.
God knows. Yeah, because it has a weird property on it where it can outright crush other supers.
Oh, sick.
I believe it's just to do with attack levels, and big boys like Laliva and Vasaraga have a higher attack level even still on a level 3. Like I've seen it Charlotte do a super and just get smoked. Run it up and then he just bonks her.
There you go. Once he's got the
I'd say that Catalina is worse for fast than Ferry. I completely agree. Because all that Vasaraga really has to do against Ferry is get one correct guess with Armored Shoulder Charge against a button. Those huge ass hurt boxes. And then he's in, and then he gets to run his offense on Ferry. And he has a pretty good time against Ferry's reversal options as well. So his RPS feels pretty one-sided. So if Ferry plays that matchup perfectly, then nah, Vass is in for a world of hurt. But against Catalina, it feels like even if the Vasaraga manages to make a correct call out, Catalina has the tools to deal with his pressure a lot better. A lot of Catalina hate coming here. It's wrong, bro. She's cute.
Wow.
It's all good. Yeah. Wow, so many throws as well. But that's the thing, against Catalina and Gran and characters like this that run the fundamental offense of the game so, really effectively, it feels like more often than not, just take the throw. But that throw's loopable, so there's only so often, you can only take that so much until you're just dead. But all it takes is one universal overhead counter hit or something along those lines, and you're going to end up taking a solid 50%, so it's rough. You're definitely put into an RPS situation that does not feel good no matter what answer you pick. Ooh, nice anti-air. Should be dead. Paddu keeping it alive. We're at a set point right now with Aixy having 3 sets already is underneath his belt. Vasaraga's Fireball is kind of slept on as well. I'm not sure how it interacts with Catalina Fireball, because his one's so low to the ground and her one gets low profile. I wonder how that would work out if they just kind of miss each other.
at least it wasn't counter hit this time. Paddu catching on. Oh, I'll take it back.
Oh, yeah. That's the thing, though. You've really just got to wait and watch for Universal Overhead. I feel like wow, Paddu just getting a little cheeky, getting a Farlight in there, taking it to free. It's close. And we've seen this before, right? Against the Gran as well. The Gran took 3 matches, and then Paddu came absolutely back with a vengeance.
Yeah, the momentum was
in
just
games,
so good for him.
But momentum is really important in a game like this as well. It's important in every game, but in a game that's so fundamental, even the slightest bit of someone gets a little bit flustered, it can just be over. You can make a wrong choice in RPS and lose a round in this game. So getting flustered definitely is something you want to avoid. And that's one of the things that Lil specializes in. Can I piss them off enough that they'll
make a mistake,
not realize how bad my character is?
Ooh, good shoulder. And even better DP there by Aixy getting out of the corner. Nice and yeah, not counter hit.
Oh, yeah, not counter hit, but it's nice because it's so non-committal going for mirror wall there on all of your anti-air confirms. It's kind of gross. Because you can just cancel out of it with a forward dash or a back dash.
Can't block too many more specials. Looking at almost a chip death here for Paddu, but
yeah, but again, Aixy's gonna look to just keep this health lead and wait for him to fuck up like that.
Yeah, potential. Oh, yeah, potential last round.
Yeah. Set point again for Aixy, but we've seen this quite a few times. Paddu's managed to bring it back, so let's see if we can do it again. Getting the forward roll for the fireball, locks her out of that option for a while, but again, you can't go for shoulder charge because you'll just get DP'd more often than not. Oh wow, what the hell? That was rough. Kind of just like low profiled his fight or something weird. Either way, now you're in the fundamental mix-up, but go for the unsafe special. Doesn't end up getting punished that heavily though. And now you're in the corner, taking all these super fireballs, and there you go. It's done. GG's Aixy. GG's Paddu as well. Congratulations on winning the Kumite.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to try and get Aixy on a next one and actually make him play in the round robin, and I'll give him the right time. I might start doing these at 8:30. 1, to stop the confusion in timings, and 2, to not clash with the